This seminar, The Kids Are Not the Threat, is based on a book that I'm actually writing, and I'm excited to teach it to the fellows. And the premise of the course is that the 1960s, especially starting with the Civil Rights Movement and the lunch counter sit-in in Greensboro, North Carolina, gave birth, of course, to the Civil Rights Movement, but it also gave birth to uh, the a project of mass rebellion in the name of progressive change and against inequality, not just for Black students and Black young people, but for women, for queer people, for trans people, for anti war activists. And he did that on several levels in terms of they were intent on changing their hearts, their minds, but also the hearts and the minds of the nation. They were also intent on changing uh, their bodies, using their bodies, in other words, to contest the inequalities that exist, within U.S. society. They were also using it to change the social world, uh, the climate, but also the laws, the social mores, the social practices within the US at the time. And this was the kind of recipe for other young people to take up. So you see similar things happening with the birth of the feminist movement. You see it happening also with the Stonewall Rebellion that begins the queer and trans liberation movement. You see it with the anti-war movement. You see it with the emergence of the beatniks, the hippies, the anti-imperialist radicals, the anti-racist radicals, the feminists, LGBTQ activists, and so on. Now, with what I'm calling the kind of multiplication of rebellions and the coevolution of those rebellions. So the fact that young people were actually learning from each other as they did this and as they tried to figure out ways how to use their minds and their bodies, to change their communities, but also change U.S. society. There was also the emergence of a mass program of repression, right? It's also the moment in which we see the kind of criminalization of activism. We see the targeting of young people who are trying to call attention to the ills of US society. We see corporations, business leaders, as well as politicians organizing to uh, try and suppress what the young folks were calling for. So, one of the documents that we'll look at is the future Supreme Court Justice Lewis Powell's, the Powell Memorandum, in which he wrote a secret memo to business leaders saying, leftist students and leftist professors are taking over universities. And so we've got to do things to really reclaim the so-called virtues of American capitalism. And the way in which we can do that is we get in control of the textbooks. We hire people who will make arguments for the free market system as faculty within universities. We have attractive sounding people on the radio, attractive looking people, on TV, and so on and so on and so on. So with the sort of mass emergence of direct action and all that that entailed, we also then have the emergence of mass repression that then constructs young people and also activism as a threat to American society. And so I'm very excited to teach this.